What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and happy Pi Day to everyone. Super exciting. I wish I'd saved my Pi memorization skills for today instead of a couple videos ago. If you watch the end of my videos, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I'm sorry, that means nothing to you. But in today's video, I want to talk about how I scan for the best stocks to be watching in the future, and hopefully this will make this video, useful to people months, years from now. So that's going to be in the first part of the video, and then once I talk about how I find them, then I'm going to talk about the stocks that I'm watching for tomorrow. So if you're watching this tonight, or maybe tomorrow after I've uploaded it, it's still going to be relevant, but that's going to be probably in the second part of the video. So if you're watching it today, probably watch the whole thing. If you're watching this, a week, a month, a year from now, probably just watch, the first half. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be really helpful for all you guys, because a lot of you guys were asking me how I find these stocks before they start moving, and the reality is I don't find them before they start moving. I find them once they start moving, and then they keep moving, if that makes sense. So hopefully this video will be helpful. As always, please touch that like button for me down below, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I make these videos every day, even when I'm sick. I'm feeling a lot better now. By tomorrow, I should be 100%. I just spit on the mic there. I mean the camera. I'm losing my mind here. All right, let's talk about these stocks, guys. All right, guys, so when you're doing your research at the end of the day when the market is closed, you really don't need any paid tools. At least I don't use any paid tools after. I use a couple paid tools during the day, but I'm mainly talking about when I'm doing my research at the end of the day to find stocks for tomorrow. And there's two main ways that I've been doing that recently. And the first one is this free scanning tool that is on Thinkorswim's platform. And again, that's TD Ameritrade. I talk about this a lot, but I actually have a free account with TD Ameritrade. I have no money in my account at all. I trade in Fidelity, but I like Thinkorswim as a platform. It's pretty cool, and they have a lot of stuff built in there. One of them is this scanner. So if you go, there's a ton of different things, but you can go to scan, and you can set up a scan. You can scan in stocks. You can scan in a lot of different things, but what I like to do is set up a couple filters that will bring up stocks that are likely to be stocks that I would be interested in the following day. Because if stocks have a set amount of volume, they have a set amount of price movement, we're likely going to be interested in them. And because of that, I've made some criteria. Now, you can adjust these criteria however you please. I still fiddle with them sometimes, depending on how lenient I am, depending how many results there are on the day. But typically speaking, these are pretty good guidelines to go by. So, what you want to do is, I like having percentage change, minimum 40%, because I feel like that's a pretty decent amount where the stock yesterday was up a lot, but it's still not like a ridiculous cutoff level. Because if you put it like 200% up, you're not really going to get any stocks that come on this list. You'll get a couple, but it's not really going to be a big enough list. So you want to put it, a decent amount up, but not like a ridiculous amount, because again, that's the cutoff area. So I like 40% up. I like volume to be at least 500,000, and I wish they had dollar volume, because that would make this a little bit easier. But in this case, we got to go with volume. And the reason dollar volume would be better is because some of these stocks are a lot cheaper. Obviously, if someone buys 1 million shares at 6 cents per share, it's going to be a lot less dollars than if someone buys 1 million shares at $100 a share, obviously. So you just got to keep that in mind. But I think 500,000 is an okay range. You just have to know that if it's a cheap stock and it's close to that range, 500,000, etc., it's probably not going to be one that you want to look at, because the liquidity is probably not going to be there. So this is mainly lower to make sure that when we have those higher price stocks, we're not cutting any off that might be something we'd be interested in. And then the last thing is, I like to put the min at 1 penny on this scanner, just because I don't really want to be trading sub pennies too often. If you want to make it lower than that, you can. But again, without the dollar volume, it makes it very difficult. And you get a lot of these OTCs that will spike up on, a $2,000 buy because their spread is so thin, and it looks like it's up a lot, but the chart is disgusting, and it's not something you could trade anyway. So I really like to have these three things on this, and you'll just have to go through kind of each one of these, and you'll start to learn, what the charts are that you want to trade and what the ones are that you don't want to trade. But just going through here, let's try EESE, and I actually already know this is not one that I want to trade, but you can go to charts and EESE, and you can see here, if I go to 1 minute, let's go 5 minute, 5 day, you can see there literally was no volume at all here. This is all on Friday, And this chart is really not that interesting. I mean, pretty much dead in the middle of the day. Does not look very liquid. So this is not something that I would want to trade. So we go back to the scanner and just keep going down. So ENTXW, that ends in a W. I don't really want to trade warrants. Again, you can see those are both warrants, so we'll skip those. Let's see what the next one is. LRDC. So I'll go back to charts. LRDC. And now this one actually looks a little bit more interesting. This one actually looks a little bit more interesting. It looks like it had a couple day run. Now, it did not have very much volume in these days. I'm not sure. I guess this is another one of those where it's one of those oil. Was probably one of those oils, and all these oil OTCs are running right now because of MDMP. So you have to know the sector, you have to know why things are running. But in this case, this is definitely a stock that I want to keep on my watch list, because if it's running, one day, continued run, spikes up the next day, I would have liked to see it hold, probably that 30-cent area. That would have been more ideal for a continued run. But if it finds a base, if it's gapping up and starts breaking through that level on Monday, this is definitely one that I would be interested in. So this is a great stock to be watching, because there's a whole lot of range here. Again, guys, you buy, 10,000 shares at 15 cents. You ride this up, you sell it at 40. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. 10,000 shares, you make a penny. That's $100, unless I'm tripping. So there's a lot of money there to be made. Just keep that in mind. So that's definitely one that I want to put on my watch list. Let's keep going down the line. NLSP. I think this was a NASDAQ, if I remember correctly. NLSP. Yeah, so this one gapped up huge. And then just kind of, was chopping around a little bit. So holding its gains really well in after hours. If this thing breaks above that high there at 735, it's going to get really, really interesting. So this is another one that I don't want that. How do you get rid of that? Active trader. Oh, God. Oh, I don't use this. Big buttons. There we go. All right. I just want to look at the chart and see. Let's go 1 year, 1 day. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, this is it. This is at 1 year highs right here. That's wow. I mean, that's a pretty interesting candle right there. Huge range, but closed kind of right where it opened. So again, we have to see what this one does. Again, that's just because it gapped up a ton and then was just kind of choppy. But man, if this thing breaks through that level, definitely can be interesting. So this is another one, guys, that's really big on the watch list for tomorrow. And again, this is just how I go through this process over the weekend and make my watch list. So I'm just gonna keep going down. Do a couple more for you guys. SMKG. Let's see if this is one that I'd be interested in. SMKG. That chart, honestly, does not look like it's something I would really like to be trading too much. But let me give it a little bit more time. Yeah, this looks pretty illiquid. This looks pretty illiquid to me. To me, this signifies, if it's dipping this much and bouncing this hard in a 1 minute candle, that's probably just a spread thing. That means there's not a lot of buyers or sellers, which means you could really get screwed if you try to take any type of size. Man, you take 10,000 shares at 20 cents trying to dip buy, and suddenly you're down $700, $800 down at 12 cents. I really wouldn't like that, so this is probably not one that I want to trade. And guys, as you go through, you'll learn what are stocks that are worth watching and what are stocks that are not worth watching, and you'll just get better at that. You'll get better at that. Let's see, UNRG. Let's give it a try. UNRG. All right, so this one had some decent volume there in the morning. Spiked all the way up, and then came down and just completely died in the afternoon, but held its gains pretty nicely. Honestly, it held its gains pretty nicely. And you can see it had no volume at all before that. So I'm not sure. United Energy Corp. I'm not sure if this is another one of those OTC oil companies. Would not surprise me if it were. If it is, and all those ones that were running before keep running, MDMP, this is definitely one that I'm going to want to keep on my watch list because it held its gains decently well. Started at 2.6 cents, closed at 6 cents, so still closed up pretty well. Probably about 50%. If they can close around that 50% area, ideally a little bit above, typically speaking, that's a pretty good sign that they could continue. So if this thing starts perking up, I would definitely be interested in it on Monday. And I'm not going to go through every single one of these at this point. SEAL, I guess I can go into that real quick. SEEL, that was another one that was really, really running. This one squeezed a lot, but it was pretty choppy. Typically, this isn't the type of stock that I like to play too much, but it went pretty hyperbolic there. But it did hold those gains fairly well. So if this continues and then breaks past 5, I'm definitely going to be interested in it. Definitely going to be interested in it, especially if it rips through those highs. So, yeah, I mean, just gotta keep an eye on this one, guys. So that's how I use the scanning software on TD Ameritrade on Thinkorswim. And now I want to talk to you about how I actually use the OTC Markets website itself to find some of these stocks, because it's honestly pretty cool. So if you go to Stock Screener, here's what I like to do. So I use Fidelity as my main brokerage, and because of that, I cannot trade certain OTC stocks. So I can trade all the QX, that's the highest. I can trade all the QB, but I can't trade all the pink. So I can only trade pink current and pink limited. Limited has a yield sign. No information has a stop sign. Can't trade that. And pink current, obviously, is just a pink, so I can trade that. And then I can't touch these. So this is what I want to do for this. And security types, I just want to have, I think, common stock, if I'm not mistaken, and ADR. I think those are the two that I want, and I don't want to have those. And you could scroll down here and see if there's some type of min price that you want to have. On OTC markets, I kind of like having the I totally just lost my train of thought. OTC markets, I kind of like. I forgot what I was saying. Wow, that's crazy. Well, let's see. I'm going to put in the volume. I'm going to probably do the same thing here. I'm going to say min 500,000 volume. Yeah, so price. That's what I was saying. I don't like having a min price on OTC markets just because there are occasionally, some sub pennies that are moving pretty nicely that I want to keep on my radar. So just keep that in mind. So I like doing that. And, you throw that in there. And then you go to change, and honestly, it's pretty simple. So you can see some of the ones that are down the most. BMXC, this one was up a lot. MMEX, this was up a lot. MAXD, this was up a lot. So this is kind of a HCMC. Wow. So this is part of the reason why we don't bag hold, guys. I reckon GTLL. I recognize all these tickers. I recognize all these. So just keep that in mind. Some of these, they could be a decent dip buy if they're multiple red days in a row. So keep that in mind, but also don't turn into a bag holder. If you're dip buying near support, you got to have a good risk level. But really what I want to do is I want to go up here and I want to pull up this, I want to pull up by the highest percent gainers. And you can see here, sorting by volume, 500,000 might be a little bit too little, but there are some OTC stocks that are a little bit more. They're a little bit more than, your average. They're like $5 OTC stocks, so I don't want to limit myself on those. But maybe I should raise this to $1 million, $2 million, something like that. But just keep that in mind. You can cut it off wherever you want. So LUDG, 65-cent stock, 700,000 volume. That's probably not going to be liquid enough, but it's worth taking a look at. LUDG. Let's see here. Wow. Yeah. So this had a pretty nice run there. It looks like, it's really pretty illiquid though, so I'm gonna skip that one. It's still, honestly, it's still good. If it's still running, if the setup is still there, I would say it's still worth it. But this, I guess we just have to know that, keep in mind that this is a day old. So TNEN, what's going on with that one? TNEN, pretty low volume overall. Yeah, kind of choppy at this point. Not really something I'm too interested in. MKGP, so it might be a little bit more interesting. Yeah, well, this is holding those gains pretty well, but it looks pretty illiquid, guys. Looks pretty illiquid. MDMP, that's definitely one that we want to watch. I'm just kind of mad. LRDC, yeah. So these oil companies, I would say that's kind of the biggest thing. MDMP, this is one we still want to watch. MDMP. Obviously, this had a really, really nice recovery. Really nice recovery. The fact that it, broke that high day there and then honestly closed pretty strong, I would say is a good thing. I mean, it's the kind of the gift that keeps on giving, which is pretty wild. Had this crazy run up here. Big tank. Everyone thought it was over, but, held its gains, didn't break down much more under that area. Held that 40-cent support really well. Came back, broke the high day, but rejected the high day break, but really didn't break down too much after rejecting the high day break. So the fact that it's still holding these gains, this could easily break $1 and continue to run. And if it does, all of those other OTC oil companies are going to be doing something. So got to keep an eye on those guys. If this is moving, you know, you got to assume that all these other ones, LRDC is going to be moving, DBRM is going to be moving, Petro, like literally anything that that relates to oil and gas, it's going to be moving. So PGAS, TVOG, I mean, literally, you see a lot of these here. And these are kind of sleeper companies, guys. Probably no one else is talking about these. And if you get in on these, I would assume that they would run pretty well with MDMP. I really would. So if I go to DBRM, let's just check that out real quick. Let's go to the 5-day, 5-minute DBRM. That looks pretty interesting, guys. That looks pretty interesting. What else? PGAS, Petro. I mean, I'm assuming that's Petro. I totally forgot the ticker. What is it? PGAS? PGAS? Yeah, guys. So, I mean, MDMP keeps running. All these could be running. TVOG. All right, well, that's just a pretty ugly chart. I'm going to be real. If it's a penny in trading, barely any volume, that's not one you want to be watching. Anything else on here? LRDC. Already talked about that. MKGP. MKGP. Still holding its gains. Looks like a pretty similar chart. I think this is probably another oil company if I had to guess. So all these guys. WSRC. I feel like all these are the same. That one actually is looking really juicy. The fact that it closed near those highs. Volume is pretty low though. Yeah, so that's pretty illiquid. But these are 1-minute candles. I mean, if you're taking... Yeah, no, I guess that's pretty liquid. All right, well, I would just focus on those other two that we just talked about then. True Energy, I mean, some of these, man, if they start to get more volume, it could be interesting. But, that's pretty much how I look for this, guys. And I would say this is more helpful in finding stocks that are continuing to run, you know, day after day versus just like those 1 day, because even when it's delayed, you can still find stocks that are worth keeping on your watch list, if that makes sense. But if you're trying to find one in the moment, you're gonna have to use some other feature, some other program. I like a lot of the chat rooms that I'm in. That's what the Discord is for. I use Trade Ideas. There's a lot of different, softwares that you can use to get breaking stocks that are moving versus, trying to go and do this research afterwards. But this is still a really good way of finding stuff to get on your watch list. And another one that I had on my watch list was, I'm trying to think of the ticker. Yeah, so this other stock was CWRK. And I found this one because of the OTC market scanners. And you can see here, this thing is looking pretty juicy, man. It's looking pretty juicy. Pretty dang juicy. It keeps having these nice... literally, it's like the same thing over and over again. It's like a U-shaped breakout over and over. So, or an ABCD. So, we get the nice spike, we get the pullback, we get the ramping up action, and then it breaks through those highs and rips again. And then it sees a nice little pullback, ramping action, breaks through those highs, and really just does that over and over and over and over again. And, that's what we've seen here. So I really like this stock, CWRK. This is a big watch for me, but at this point, it's probably a bigger watch on short because, I think a couple days, this is probably going to pull back and then, do the same thing. So that's what I would expect to see on this one. At this point, I think it's a little late to be long. I was watching this here at this breakout area. I just didn't feel like taking the initiative and buying it because I hate buying at breakout areas in case it gets stuffed. But they actually put out news yesterday, NFT platform update. NFTs are super, super hot right now. So keep that in mind. This is honestly, again, guys, this is honestly pretty big short. I would love to see this have another explosive green day because, look at that. Wow. I guess that was right when that volume came. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I should have been watching this more carefully. Yeah, this is one of my definitely really big watches. More on the short side, but if it breaks through this 3 high, it could keep running, get another explosive day, and then, be a good long on Monday, and then potentially a really good short on Tuesday. So we'll see what's going on with this one. Last honorable mention I want to throw in here is ILUS, because this bad boy just got to be current. I guess not current. They're that in between where it's what is it? on this pink. You can see, yeah, so they're pink limited. They're not pink no information anymore, so they're going to be pink current soon, but now they have a yield sign, which means you can buy them on Fidelity, and I'm expecting some pretty good things from this. Again, I have a lot of friends who are hyped about this. I may try to swing it, but I would like to get a better entry because it does have some pullbacks, so just got to see, because I don't want to hold through a 70% pullback, but also it does have a lot of room to the upside. Once it breaks out past this 18 area, it's going to be insane. So, you know, maybe I take a stab at it. Not sure. Maybe some news. Maybe going pink current can push it over 20, have it go all the way up to 50. I have no idea. So this is definitely a huge watch for me, ILUS. And obviously, guys, I'm watching all those stocks that I normally watch. TSMPD. That's not how you spell that. TSMPD. Definitely big on watch. Got to see what happens here. See if it bottoms out in this area or if it cracks below 2.7, that area. If it cracks below here, it's not going to be a good sign. And yeah, I mean, God, literally everything. OZSC, always watching that one. I mean, guys, you should know the tickers by now. You should know the tickers by now. AABB, oh, that's actually a really good one. AABB, they just announced their app. Their app, I guess, is live now for their crypto coin or something like that. So first green day after a couple red days. If it breaks past this area, I would say that 20 cent area, it looks like it's going to be some resistance because that was previous support. So if it breaks past 20 cents, it could be a really nice breakout. So AABB is also pretty dang high on my watch list, and that's pretty much it, I think, for this video, guys. Obviously, you know all the stocks that I like to trade on a daily basis, AITX, ALYI, all those, but I've definitely got those new ones on my watch list, and I think it's going to be a really good week. I've been doing a lot of studying. I got a lot of really new, cool stuff coming for you guys. Sorry, this is a really long video, but I hope it was helpful. Hope my analysis was helpful on this stuff. If you made it to the end, I can't think of anything, and I really don't want to give you guys a smooch, so I'm just gonna give you just a big hug. There you go. Hope you like that. It's better than smooching some 40-year-old men. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.